Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to 2 on 1 starring Daryl Looney, that's me, it's this guy right here, light skin guy, and my brother from another mother,
Josh Price, back live in living color. Let's get to it, man.
We got a bunch to talk about in the world of the National Football League today.
Do Minnesota looking better than I thought they were? Or maybe Seattle, I don't know. NFC is wide open though. Like you could.
I just didn't see Kurt family member doing this season. I just really didn't, because he doesn't perform well in big time games.
So I ain't gonna lie. I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan, and I'm really not a Kirk Cousins apologist. But what I will say is that Kirk Cousins helped me get a fantasy football league championship. So if nothing else, I've always believed in him from a fantasy purpose. How about that?
What we gonna address with y'all first is these bottom teams in the bottom of the dumpster fire in the NFL. What y'all need to do this offseason. Because y'all need Jesus and something else, because it's bad out here. We gonna first start off with the Miami Dolphins. I don't know what y'all are doing with y'all roster, and I don't know how y'all trying to build your team. And if you're not sure about Josh Rosen, why trade for him?
What's crazy is I don't think the Dolphins are the worst of these three teams that we're going to talk about. They might honestly be. Well, I think they're clearly the best. From what we've seen,
out of these three things we're about to talk about, I'll definitely go to Miami to play because it's tax free. But other than that, I'm good.
So, have they mishandled the Josh Rosen thing? Yes. I think if you're going to trade for him, you have to let him play through the bad and the good. Like, he's going to have his times where he looks like a rookie because, quite frankly, he probably still is operating on that curve a little bit. But you still have to give him the shot to say, okay, here, if you're truly going to be what we thought we could rely on you to be when we traded for you, which is your starting quarterback for your football team, give him the chance to start. It hasn't looked pretty when he's been out there. We knew that going into it, and y'all should have known that when y'all traded for him. But you have to let him take his lumps and go through all of that. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, whatever you want to call him, okay, cool, let him play, but at the same time, you still are going to be, he's not going to be the guy that you invest money in for the next 5 to 6 years. You need to figure out who that's going to be. Make the decision on whether or not it's Josh Rosen. If it's not, you didn't pay that hefty of a price to get him, cool, cut your ties. But you have to know for sure versus throwing him out there here and there only to say, okay, maybe we like him, maybe we don't.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, whatever you want to call him, is a journeyman. Like you said, you can't, like, oh yeah, we're going to invest in this guy, build our franchise. No, bro.
No.
Let that go, dog. It's not going to work, bro. No. And like you said, you have to see what Rosen is about. But in college, Rosen was brittle. Rosen was injury prone. He didn't get drafted to the best situation. Let's just put that out there. The Arizona Cardinals' offensive line was terrible. David Johnson broke his wrist
in game 1.
And Larry Fitzgerald is a 49-year-old slot receiver. Like, what are you going to do?
Man, like, there's really nothing you can do. And the bigger issue in Arizona is the fact that they've let this GM outlast a lot of these coaches. Like, he fired a coach 15 games into a 16-game season. Like, you didn't even give him, like, you fired the man before he could really even establish anything. So it tells me that you really didn't want to hire him in the first place, because if he had that short of a leash, there was no point. So you kick him out. You're basically having this kid, he didn't even play, Rosen didn't play all 15 games last year. So you had him playing half of a season under a coaching staff that you're probably going to get rid of anyway, only to then maybe be the guy for the next coaching staff. No, he wants to go draft the best quarterback in the draft, which don't get me wrong. If I had the opportunity to draft Kyler and I had Josh Rosen, I probably would have did it too. But
we all would have.
But
I think Josh Rosen would have did it too.
Probably. Josh knows. Very next team on this list, the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, I need y'all to really look in the mirror, and I need y'all to ask yourselves a question.
No, I need them to hold this L. Because it's been there for a couple years now.
Yeah.
The red rock, no, the red rifle. What they call it?
Red rifle.
The red water pistol. That's what we gonna call Andy Dalton.
Mama call him Andy. I'ma call him Andy.
Boo this man! Boo! He stinks.
So, and like, if you're Cincinnati,
God.
you have to know coming into this season that Andy Dalton's probably not going to be your quarterback beyond this year. 2, your new coach, you probably want to try to find him if you believe this whole Sean McVay coaching tree thing with hiring Zach Taylor like you probably fed into, you probably want to get him his version of Jared Goff. Andy Dalton is not that. Andy Dalton would be Zach Taylor's equivalent of, let's say, Case Keenum. Perfectly serviceable quarterback for the time being. All good for right now, but not for later. So,
I was going to say Brock Osweiler, but hey.
Something to that effect. Substitute teacher, all the same.
Hey, man. Look, boy.
So, if you're going to go about this the way that most competent franchises do, you move on from Marvin Lewis, bring in your new head coach, let him establish his system. Go ahead, let Andy Dalton play this last season out. Maybe you try to trade him, especially if you're going to take his job from him mid-season only to then give it back. You think he's the starting quarterback in the league because he's now starting for you. Trade him somewhere where he can consistently be the starter or be a starter that somebody actually believes in, because clearly you don't, because if you really did, there's probably a lot more moves that you'd have made to establish some stuff around Andy Dalton. But that's neither here nor there. Find you a quarterback. Common theme, right? Find a quarterback. The Bengals need to do that. They probably are going to draft, with them being 1-11 right now, they're probably going to draft Joe Burrow or Tua if they feel like he's healthy enough.
Or Justin Herbert.
Or Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert probably would have been the top pick if he'd came out last year, but he decided not to.
Factors.
Either way, you have your choice. You're going to probably have the number 1 pick. Like, it's pretty clear-cut at this point, unless there's some tanking that happens with the Giants and Redskins that we don't know about yet. But take your time, get you a quarterback, and just start over. Get Andy Dalton out of there, get A.J. Green out of there. Well, they're going to leave. A.J. is probably going to leave on his own because he's a free agent. But you had your opportunity to trade them. You did not. I feel like that's poor planning, more so than it is on like Andy Dalton and some of those players for poor play.
This last team.
Yeah, we can get to it because this is one that we are going to debate a little bit, because I don't feel quite as strongly about Daniel Jones as my brother to my left does.
The New York Giants. I was wrong. No current things. You're wrong. Mama's right. I was wrong. I have to have faith in Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. I said he was trashed. I said, who is this dude? The Giants just blew it. They should have got Haskins. But Haskins right now compared to Daniel Jones, I got faith in Daniel Jones. DJ, call me, my brother. We can link up, go get some soul taco, some emos. We can hang out, bro. I got faith in you. He don't got faith in you. But we're not going to listen to what he's saying, because we're going to listen to me. I believe in you, Daniel. I believe in you.
Here's what we did. Daniel Jones had that big game right out the gates against Tampa Bay. What have we learned about Tampa Bay since then? They have probably one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. Had that one monster game out the gate, cool. Ever since then, he has looked like a lemon.
Hey, man, you know if I talk about Daniel like that, not going to tolerate Daniel disrespect.
Look, Daniel Jones probably will be a decent quarterback. But do I think he has proven anything right now? Hell no. What have we seen? Who Who have we seen him perform well against that is noteworthy?
He just had a monster game the other day. It wasn't monster. It was pedestrian. But I still got faith in you, Daniel, because you don't have any receivers. They got rid of OBJ. Who you got? Sterling Shepard? He has a concussion every week.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard has.
Evan Ingram can't catch. You got Saquon.
They've had some injuries. Granted, I don't buy into the hype yet.
We
I feel like,
but I see it.
I feel like they went and they Gemini manned Eli, and that's really what they
definitely cloned Eli. He looks just like Eli Manning.
They went cloned Eli and said, "Yeah, we've got the younger, stronger version of you," and you're probably going to see season long stat lines similar to Eli in his prime of like 23 touchdowns and 20 interceptions, and it'll be perfectly fine for the 7-9, 8-8 Giants for the next 10 years. Do that if you want to. I don't think right now you can for sure say to yourself, okay, this is the guy. Probably look up in a couple years, maybe say that. But right now I still think we need to see more. Especially when, you're probably going to fire Pat Shermer at the end of this year too. So show me something.
I don't know why he got hired.
We don't know why he got hired. But figure it out. Unlike the other two teams that we talked about, they at least have a guy that they are confident in, which he is the best quarterback we've talked about so far out of all of these teams, which doesn't say a lot, but
Daniel Mahomes. So I'm gonna start. Let me stop disrespecting Patrick.
No,
I love Patrick, but I got faith in Daniel. All you need to do, Giants, get you some receivers.
I don't even think it's the receivers though.
Who do they have at a receiver, Josh?
So I can ride out with Daniel Jones, Golden Tate, and Evan Ingram healthy.
Evan Ingram can't catch.
He even with his drops and not always being efficient.
He drops more than Wayne mixtapes in 06. He sucks. He's fast and got curly hair. Other than that, you can't catch, bro. Let it go, dog.
So, I think that you have pieces. You probably still are a receiver short.
They got a defense.
But they
got Saquon.
So compare their weapons to what Cincinnati has minus AJ Green. I'm definitely
Cincinnati's defense is better.
I'm definitely taking the Giants' offense in that situation, though. So I think you focus on the defensive side of the ball. You made the trade to go get Leonard Williams. You have him on your team now. You still got Janoris, who even in his prime took chances that he probably shouldn't take, stuff like that. But at the same time,
Jabril Peppers back.
You got pieces. You just need to really get that's a team I would love for them to just go get Chase Young from Ohio State. Because they probably will be 2. Let's say they're the second pick. Why not? You don't need a quarterback, right? So
because if the Bengals get the first pick, they're drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, they're not taking
so
a linebacker.
Giants, you get number 2,
especially in Cincinnati.
That's Chase Young.
So you get Chase Young, you go get the best defensive player in the draft, and you start building. And I think that's a piece that they need, and get back to what got them to those Super Bowls, which was a front 4, front 7 that's really going to consistently put pressure on the quarterback, and on the opposite side of the ball, have enough offense to win you games when you need to win those games. But as much as I don't like Daniel Jones,
all said and done, Daniel Brady, we got.
Don't buy into that.
I got faith in you, Daniel.
Don't buy into that. But I will say he's the best of the quarterbacks for them teams that we talked about.
You got good and you got bad. And speaking of good and bad, we're gonna talk about the best loss of the week in this next segment and the worst loss of the week.
Yes.
Well, not the best and worst loss. The best win of the week. The worst loss of the week.
Yes. Sorry.
I had a brain fart right there. That sounded stupid. But the best win to me, gotta give it up to the Baltimore Ravens.
Facts.
You controlled the entire fourth quarter. The last 8 minutes, the 49ers was just out there helpless.
Yeah.
You took all the time out of the clock, and Lamar drove them downfield with precision runs, passes. They got down the field. Shout out to Justin Tucker, one of the clutchest kickers. Big trust. Hey, that was a big win, man. You might not see the glamour stats. Oh, Lamar threw for 400. Oh, you had 100-something passing yards, 100-something rushing yards. They got the win, and they potentially will probably end up as the first seed in the AFC because the Patriots out here just, I don't know what they doing offensively.
Yeah, to set up a potential matchup with New England in the AFC Championship, you get that at home. That's big. That's
Facts.
Best win of the week for me goes to Pittsburgh Steelers. You got your third string quarterback. You missing James Conner. You missing Juju, and y'all go in and take care of business against a team that you got some emotions against because y'all got to, the whole Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph altercation. The last time you faced the Browns, granted it's at home, it's a team that you are better than. Let's be frank about it. But at the same time, it's a division game in a game that you must win in order to keep your playoff hopes where they are. And you took care of business with operating at clearly less than 100% across the board. So that's a big win. Mike Tomlin for Coach of the Year, man. Pittsburgh Steelers, good win this week.
But one note on that. Mason Rudolph. Did you see him play last week?
Yeah, I did.
Shout out to Sheldon. That was one of the funniest sound bits I've ever heard in my life.
Sheldon Richardson, friend of the program.
That was so funny to me. But we're going to go into the worst loss of the week. The worst loss of the week for me. Oh my God, man. First off, there's a couple of different points I can make on this. Philadelphia Eagles. What the freak was that? First, you gave up 38, almost 40 to the Dolphins, who are trying to lose purposely so they can get good draft picks. You lost to them. You let a punter throw a touchdown to a kicker. And then y'all looked around on defense like, who was supposed to guard him? It's the kicker, bro. What are y'all doing? And then it's like you were building momentum to make a run, to get a wild card. You could have won the division, actually, because Dallas out here fumbling the bag.
Speaking of fumbling.
Dallas is fumbling the bag. Dallas doesn't want to be great. And y'all could seize the opportunity to win the division and be a top 4 seed. But you lose to the Dolphins.
The Dolphins. So, I don't necessarily know if this is truly a worse loss than the Eagles lost to the Dolphins because, of course, the Eagles are trying to fight for the playoffs and whatnot. But the Los Angeles Chargers, I think y'all have now found. You may remember a show that used to come on. I forget what the network used to be called.
Was it Spike?
Spike TV?
Yes. A Million Ways to Die?
1,000 Ways to Die. Yeah, whatever the number was. I believe the Los Angeles Chargers, this is the time of remakes and the time of nostalgia. And you probably aren't super nostalgic about that show, 1,000 Ways to Die. But if the Chargers wanted to get into the television show remake business, they could do 1,000 Ways to Die and just put nothing but their close game losses on that show. And I promise you they've got at least 6 seasons of it. You are going against a rookie quarterback, his very first game, in an offense that nobody believes is good. And you go up to Mile High, you let Drew Lock throw 2 TDs on you. You get mind you, they got Derwin James back yesterday. You give up the 2 touchdowns to Cortland Sutton, which Cortland Sutton, bad boy, by the way.
I got him on my fantasy team.
I should have had him on a couple fantasy teams because it's not been a good fantasy year for me across the board, but we'll change that next year. You give up the 2 touchdowns to Cortland Sutton. You also, on what would have been like the second to last play of the game, get called for a pass interference penalty on a ball that young man was not going to catch. You didn't have to touch him, but what do? You have a brain fart on the field. Flag is out, 3 seconds left. McManus 50-yard field goal for the win. You just lost on the road in Denver. I don't know what to do with the Chargers, bro.
I don't know what to do. You move them to London so we don't have to watch them on TV.
Yeah, start watching football games on BBC. But before we go, last topic, I kind of teased this at the beginning. So, an idea that I posed to my brother right here. We often hear in the NBA, why don't we go through a system of seeds 1 through 16, the best 16 records in the league go to the playoffs and go at it from there. It's to find out who the best teams really are. Doesn't matter about the conferences, that yada yada, right? We never have that argument in the NFL, and I definitely think it's a more prevalent argument there than anywhere. Because we are watching and talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and Cowboys, who both could very well end up being like 8-8, right? Mm-hmm. We see a division like
Cowboys
this.
Cowboys definitely going to end up 8-8. That's what they normally do.
Yeah,
or 7-9.
That's par for the course for Jason Garrett. So you have these two teams who are probably going to be right around 500, and there's always a division winner every year. More times than not, it's the NFC East and the AFC South. But there's usually a division winner who's not one of the best 6 teams in the conference, frankly, if we keep it in the buck, right? We never make the argument that we should go 1 through 12 in the NFL. But today's your lucky day, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm here to make that argument for you. I have thought this out and made it a foolproof plan for the NFL to listen. Roger Goodell, if you want to sit down and talk, we got all day. But go 1 through 12.
I'm not talking unless Jay-Z's in the home either.
Facts. Shout out to Hov. NFL. So you get seeds 1 through 12, NFC's best 6 records, AFC's best 6 records. Let's get rid of the division titles. Because let's be frank, if it was about division titles, Jason Garrett's job wouldn't be on the line right now.
But I also know it's some people out here fighting for Super Bowls, and there's some people out here just know they're not going to win the Super Bowl and they're going to fight for division titles. That's the only reason I said keep it. Because some people are like, this is what we're going to get.
I say scrap the divisions and just go conference only, like in the NBA where you have an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference. The problem in the NBA is the whole flight thing, right? You don't have to worry about that when it comes to AFC and NFC because the conferences as a whole are not dependent on geographic location. You're going to have teams in the West in the AFC. You're going to have teams in the East in the AFC and vice versa for the NFC. So, 1 through 12, I can't go into the whole mechanics of it right now, which I may do next week once we get a chance to really see where the standings play out after this Minnesota and Seahawks game. But we'd be looking at something along the lines of your top 4 seeds, so 1 through 4 out of that 1 through 12, all still getting a bye, which right now would be Ravens, Patriots, 49ers, and Saints.
Oh, yeah, the Saints.
So, Saints are 10-2 right now.
I really don't understand how they but continue.
Now, what gets tricky here is that Seattle could be, if they win tonight, which is a tie game now, 17-17, if they win tonight, they could be one of those 4 teams getting a bye and that drops San Francisco out and back into the wild card playoffs. So you would have, your Packers playing potentially somebody like the Bills or the Steelers in round 1. You would have matchups like maybe Seattle, Minnesota in the wild card round of the playoffs, depending on how things shake out. So a lot of different ways that could play out to where you get more exciting matchups and you truly get the 2 best teams in football playing for the title at the end. Because, again, let's be frank, what if, Ravens and Patriots were the 2 best teams? That's your Super Bowl. Last year, for instance, if you say the Chiefs and the Patriots were the 2 best teams, you could have very well saw that as your Super Bowl. Again, not depending on geographic
But
locations.
last
Go
year
for it,
we
though.
got the Patriots versus the Rams, and they gave us 3 points. So on that note, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end this, and we'll see you guys next week.